Hello, folks. Today is Tuesday, January 2023. I'm Dustin Czarny, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County, and welcome to the first Commissioner in a Car for 2023. I've spent the last couple of content things talking about 2022. My last week's Commissioner in a Car was a brief recap of 2022, and then I did a weekly wonk this weekend, which had a month-by-month agonizing, post-traumatic, stress-inducing look back at the year that would never end, 2022. So I decided that today's Commissioner in a Car would be looking ahead to 2023 and some of the big changes that are happening to elections and what ballots or what positions are on the ballot for 2023. If you're a casual listener, yes, there are elections every year. And the odd elections in New York are the elections where we elect our local leaders as opposed to the even elections where we're electing our state and federal leaders. So what is up in 2023? Well, first you have your several county-wide positions that are open. County court judge is open, county clerk, county executive, county comptroller, and DA. These are all positions that run across Onondaga County. That is open this year. We then see your local town and school board elections your school board elections are every year if you're in the suburbs, and in the odd years if you're in the city of Syracuse. And so this year there's 4 seats up, I believe, for school board. But your town boards or your common council, if you're in the city of Syracuse, are also up this year. And that so many, depending on your town, there may be 2-year terms, there may be 4-year terms. So there may be only half of your board up, or there may be all of your board are up. In your town boards are up this year. All 17 county legislatures are up, and they're running on new districts, the districts that the county legislature themselves put in. And yes, that is part of a lawsuit that we're waiting, some procedural decisions on. But all indications are that they're going to be running on those districts this year, and those may be changed in future years, depending on the status of the lawsuit. So all 17 county ledge are up as well. There will also be a couple of Supreme Court seats that is a member of that 5-member district of the 5th, or 6 county member district of the 5th Judicial. That will be also up this year. So all of these local races are up this year, and that's what we're going to be focusing on at the Board of Elections. Of course, in March, there are some village elections. And we'll go into that. Village elections, we'll go into that in coming weeks. I have a little bit of a focus on that. In May, you have your school board elections if you're a suburban school district. And then in June, you have your sorry, I had to put everything on because otherwise I was going to lose power. So in June, you have your school board, or May, you have your school board elections. In June, you have some village elections, but you also have your big primary. That's where the primaries, and that's probably going to be mostly inside the city of Syracuse, but those primaries that are up will be up in June. And then, God willing, there will be no other primary this year, and we will see a fall election in November for the fall election. So, though all of those races are up this year, and right now is the time that people are starting to declare candidacies. I know that on January 5th, the Onondaga County Democratic Committee has set a deadline that if you want their nomination to run for office, you have to announce that you're running by then on January 5th, or else you're not guaranteed to be able to seek their line. Or at least seek their help in getting petitions. If you're a Democrat, you can walk petitions yourself and create a primary, of course, in any race. But those are the dates that they're asking for. So that's happening right now. And that's for the fall positions. in getting on the ballot for the June primary for the fall election. We also have a lot of changes coming at the Onondaga County Board of Elections. We are going through a new registration system that is being changed over as we speak over the next couple weeks, and we plan to go live on January 23rd. Heart Interactive is the vendor that we have chosen. We're moving from NTS to Heart Interactive. We believe that this is going to be a better system for us at the board, but also for the public to be able to get better lists and more accurate data. So we're really excited about that. So that's happening for later, this month. We also plan on going to bid or to request for proposals for precinct scanners, the actual scanners at the polling places. That's going to be a $2 million capital project, and we're going to be working through that. We doubt that will be in place for the June primary. It will probably be in place for the general election in November. We're also going to upgrade our on-demand ballot printers. They're going to be in every polling place by the end of the year. Again, it may not necessarily be in every polling place for the June primary, but definitely will be in every polling place by the end of the year. Or not definitely, I guess I can't say definitely, but that is our plan. So those are big changes at the Onondaga County Board of Elections. Of course, we brought on a couple of new permanent employees, so we've swelled our roster by 4 additional employees over the last 2 years to be able to keep up with all the election law changes, and those are the other things that are happening all across New York State. The major change is the voter registration deadline is now 15 days before the election if you're doing it by mail or online, and 10 days if you're doing it in person, as opposed to 25 days before the election, which it was before. That's a lot. It may sound not that big, but it's a big deal, and it's one of the things that we have to be ready for as a board, because we have to be all caught up and have an ability, but we won't even have our last bit of data until a couple of days before early voting starts. So we're going to have to be working with our vendors on how we're going to import data into our electronic poll books as the election goes, because if we receive stuff a little later, or we have in-person voter registration on that 10th day, they have to be able to sign up and vote on the machine. So we're waiting for guidance from State Board about that law that was recently signed. Another law that was recently signed is having to do with affidavit ballots. If you show up at a polling place that is not your assigned polling place based on where you live, normally we would be throwing out that affidavit ballot if you filled it out. Now we will only throw out the races that you're not entitled to vote for. And that's important because especially in a local year, there could be races if you show up even down the street, you could have races on your ballot that you weren't supposed to be able to vote for. So so you should still show up to the place that you're assigned, but this will allow us to count as many of your votes as possible if you don't do that. Automatic and online voter registration is supposed to start sometime this year. That means that if you registered to vote at the Department of Motor Vehicles, or if you registered at all at the Department of Motor Vehicles, you're going to be automatically registered to vote. We are waiting to hear how that's going to be put in place. We have a conference on January 16th, and we expect that at the conference, the State Board of Elections is going to give us a lot of detail about that particular program. And we're also supposed to have online voter registration where you could go online directly to the State Board of Elections or a county board of elections and register there, as opposed to doing it online through DMV. And this is important. There's some people who just don't have driver's license. They don't drive. They don't have non-voter IDs. They may have sheriff IDs. So, so this is important for them. So hopefully, a online portal will be available. Another thing that is a change, at least a change right now, is that the COVID excuse for absentees is no longer in effect. It ended on January 1st. Now, the last couple of years, the legislature has passed a 1-year extension. I'm not sure that they're going to do that this year. It hasn't been talked about. It hasn't been, bandied about. They may just go back to the regular excuse system for absentees. We're going to have to see what they do. But right now, that's a big change from the last 3 years. The last 3 cycles, that 20, 21, and 22, that COVID excuse has been available for absentee ballots. It is no longer available as of right now. Republicans have not voted for him. He could only Republicans there are for that majority. In fact, Hakeem Jeffries has gotten the highest vote total in the land in both rounds, although he doesn't have a majority either. So that's where that is, and that's fun to watch. And so, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with this House and the United States Senate when the Senate is under full Democratic control. They expanded their majority; they're 51-49. So the next 2 years are going to be very interesting to see if anything can get done. And there's a debt ceiling sometime in February that they're going to have to be able to get something done. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to monitor, interesting to watch. As for myself, I finally got back on the weekly wonk the last couple weeks. I didn't do any statistical articles, but I do plan on doing the recap of the 2022 election the next 2 weeks. I used to break these up in 4-week segments. I'm going to do just 2-week segments. So a segment this weekend on early and absentee voting, and a segment the next weekend on election day and overall turnout. And that will be my weekly wonks recapping the 2023 election. And then by that point, I'll be ready to start looking at voter registrations of the various towns of Onondaga County, since this is a local year. I like to try to do all 19 towns, and then the 17 county legislative districts. We will do that going into the general election. The reason I won't do that right away is because I don't know that there's going to be candidates in every district. And I don't like to do districts that, that there aren't any candidates. And with the towns, there usually is a Democrat running. And sometimes we won't know that if they're a caucus town until later in June. So I will start with looking at each of the 19 towns and then the 17 county legislative districts. And that will take up most of the year on my weekly wonk. Although I promise that I won't just do statistical articles on that. I may throw in some opinion pieces as well. That's one of the things that I'm going to try to work on this year. And of course, this week, my Zoom with Zarni is with Joe Driscoll, who is taking over the I-81 project for the city of Syracuse. That probably won't be up until Friday morning. Stay tuned for that. I usually try to get them up on Thursday evenings, but it may not be up until Friday morning, depending on when we're done shooting that. It may be up on Thursday night, but we'll see. And that's just about it. That's all I got for you here going into the first week of 2023. So thank you so much for all the support you've given myself and my staff and everybody at the Board of Elections and the candidates in 2022. And I'm looking forward to a great and a successful 2023 campaign. And the work has already started. So I'll see you later this week with Zoom with Zarni. And then next week on Commissioner Carr, I'm not really sure what we're going to do yet, but I'm going to figure out something. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.